So the point I'm making is, what are those skills? Because that's where a lot of leaders struggle these days, and especially when you look at the context that we work in, the infrastructure deficits that we have in Africa. South Africa is probably way ahead of the curve than us in some respects, in that wise, infrastructure wise. But in terms of the people, and I call that the infraculture, not just the hardware things now, the infraculture that we need to put in place, the soft infrastructure, the kind of skills in AI, in being a math corporation. A lot of people do not even see how that can hit them in their business right now. They don't see how that's useful. So I need you to help me expand a bit on that. What kind of skills should leaders? I have leaders on this platform. I have leaders who will be watching much later when we slice this up. What kind of skill set are you seeing down the horizon that leaders need to pay attention to? Particularly, like you mentioned, we are in what you call a structural uncertainty. Yes, we talked about VUCA and all of those things, but that uncertainty bit, a lot of people don't understand. Operational uncertainty you can deal with. You can always find ways to make things better, make functions work better. But we are currently in what you call the unstructural uncertainty zone. Most leaders don't know how to handle that. What skills need to be on the table, on the team, that you can quickly deploy and get things done? Thank you.
Okay, well, what I hear from you, Aiken, is that you're saying that one needs to be almost unstructured, and you're 100% right. You're 100% right. It is the skill of shifting. It's one of the key skills of leadership today, is the ability to shift. Now, the problem is, if I don't know that I have to change, I can't change. If I don't know that I don't know, I never ever change. So before you can shift, you have to be brutally honest. That's where we have a big problem in leadership. We don't have enough leaders who are brutally honest, and therefore they're not able to make the right changes when they're required to make those changes. So you've got to be extremely what we call agile. Leaders have to be agile today. They have to have a tremendous amount of resilience in the ability to deal with these various challenges that they're being faced with, whether it be COVID, whether it be digitalization, or many of the other things. Those are really, and then of course on top of that is one needs to have phenomenal self-confidence. I'm talking about the softer leadership skills. When you come to look at the skills from a harder perspective, the AI skills that you were speaking about, the programming skills, the skills, for example, underwater electrical divers, all those sort of things that are in huge demand around the world, and they will pay triple-digit figures for those kind of skills. Those are the type of skills that we need to be looking at moving forward. How do we understand algorithms? How do we understand this whole digital process, this whole process of where we're taking the world from an online perspective? Wow. And again, I can just saying that is, how do we manage remote teams? How do we deal with all of that? How do we deal with people who are from different cultures, from different countries, etc., who are now remotely connected to one another? How do we handle that as a leader? Those are skills that we really having a lot to deal with and are working a lot with executives moving forward.
Thank you very much. I hear agility there, and that's key. And that's extremely important, especially because of the blurring of the divide that used to separate domains of expertise, like you said, and rightfully so. Being a specialist in a particular field is no longer a guarantee of access in the new way work is organized. You've got to build in so many other skills that allows you to become agile. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's more the entrepreneurial type approach to life rather than a one job approach. Well, I've got a job now. I want my job security. We've got to forget about that. There is no more job security. Your security comes from your own ability, your ability to be valuable, to be marketable, because the more valuable you are as a brand, the more marketable you are anywhere in the world. That's the power, because talent hunting, the head hunting, is so critical to companies today. Finding the right people to put into the right positions to make a difference.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So I'm
You
going to
must
come back. I'm going to come back again to your expertise, which is building and supporting leaders and organizations. If you would advise anyone listening to this, maybe right now or much later, how, because now we know what's missing, we know where we should be looking, what practical steps can leaders take to become more agile? So I imagine you want to give me 2-3 things that leaders can do to become agile as we navigate this unstructured, uncharted territory that we are in.
Okay. I think there again, Aiken, one of the things about agility and being able to be agile is that you have to develop trust within your teams. Your team needs to be able to trust you that when you're making a move, that you're making that move in the best interest of the organization, the team, and the goal that you're trying to achieve. They need to trust that. What happens so often in leadership is that so many leaders make these promises, but they don't walk the talk. They love to talk, but they don't put that talk into action. And therefore, people don't trust them. You know, we always talk about trust being sincerity plus reliability plus competency, etc., divided by self-interest. If you don't, people don't feel that you're sincere. If you're not reliable, in other words, if you don't deliver on what you've promised to deliver on, if you're not competent in your calling, in your responsibility, and so on and so forth, and if you're more focused on yourself, people aren't going to trust you. So that when you do want to make changes and you need to make changes, it's extremely difficult for you to do that. The second thing about being agile is you've got to communicate. It's with any change process, you've got to communicate. You've got to be able to communicate. What often happens is that we see where we want to go as leaders, but we're not communicating that to our colleagues, to our team players, as effectively as we should. And it's because we're so often tied up in trying to deal with crises and we can't see the wood for the trees, so to speak. We tend to become almost insular. We don't communicate effectively with our team players. So it's really important to be able to do that. The third thing that makes us more agile is stop setting these 20, 15, 10 and 5-year visions. They are archaic. Most of the visioning that you do with people, you sit there with your exco, for example. 10 years down the line, most of them aren't even in the organization any longer. They've gone somewhere else or they've moved somewhere else. So we don't talk about the 20, 15, 10, 5-year visions anymore. 3 years maximum, because things are changing at such a quick rate. So you've got to be prepared to be able to change and make those changes effectively.
Thank you so very much for those 3 tips. And I'm sure, leaders online are having their ideas also and waiting to chime in as we go.